Yes, we have now to continue with where we left off yesterday. That's on the topic of samadhi, concentration. I've given you a general idea of concentration, of samadhi. Samadhi, there are different aspects of it. And depending on the different aspects, when you experience them, you have different type of experiences. So we can now go through some of them to give you understanding. It's not so easy when you come to experience. Just like when you look at a map, it's so easy, I fly from Singapore to Frankfurt, and after that Frankfurt, I come to New York. Very simple. You look at a map, you just like that, finger breath away. But when you actually come, there's so many ways in which you can get lost. Say when we come to this meditation, you're going on a journey. Okay, now we go to one aspect of it. We call concentration levels. Yesterday we talked about the type of concentration. We differentiate between vipassana concentration and samatha concentration. We may go again into it. Now we talk about these concentration levels. Concentration levels are how strongly fixed the mind is to the object. You can call it the depth of concentration, as understood by the common person. You explain to somebody, how deep is your concentration? So you explain. In terms of how fixed it is. Let's say you meditate and you're very fixed to your computer. No, your kid brother goes to your computer. Then when somebody calls you, time for dinner, ask your sister and come. Brother, can you come for dinner? He doesn't care, doesn't listen. Then the mother comes, he also doesn't care. It's really fixed to the computer. Then the father comes, hey, immediately you get up because he's scared of the father. So it's not that fixed. If you really fix it, when the father calls him, you won't care. It just goes with it. This is how fixed. The other aspect of this is duration. How long can the concentration last? And there's something different from how fixed the concentration is. It's the duration. Some people can sit very long and watch the object as long as there's nothing to disturb him. As long as the sister doesn't call him, the mother doesn't call him, the father doesn't call him, goes on. But the moment there's a cat beside him, meow, and I get disturbed, it is not so fixed, but it can last long. But some people are very fixed, but they cannot last long. So there are different aspects of it. Depends on which one you consider as important. Some people are very strongly fixed, right? They can go into jhanas, absorptions. When you go to absorption, that means you're totally fixed to it. You cannot hear any sounds, you can see any words, you don't know anything, the mind is just fused with object. There's no subject, object differentiation. But it lasts only 1 second. Yes, that's true. Because, in the beginning, when you get into absorptions, deep concentration, you don't last long. You have the strength to penetrate into the object and hold it there very strongly, but it doesn't last long. After 1 second, you get kicked out. Okay, time's up. You get kicked out, boom, you come out again, and then you have to try again. But with more practice, you can get fixed for a longer period of time, the duration. That's where the mastery of concentration comes with the depth and the duration. And there's other things. Like in the Visuddhimagga, they call it the Panchavasya, the 5 masteries. You don't have time to go through all that, You're not practicing samatha now. I don't go into all that. But just let's say we talk about the depth, this fixedness of the concentration. The first we talk about is the preliminary. Preliminary concentration is not so strong because preliminary is only beginning with a preliminary object, and it means that you have not really overcome the hindrances. It's better than you completely overcome by unwholesome states. At least you keep quite a lot of them at bay. Then, of course, what is more considered as samadhi is excess concentration. Excess actually means excess, as I said, to absorption, close. And this again is open to interpretation. Some interpret excess refers to the very close to the absorption, and they even specify the upachara citta in the when entering into the fixed process, panaviti. That means this, when you go into the fixed process of the jhana, you go through one moment a moment of consciousness in which the consciousness really goes into it. It's only one thought moment, and you consider that. In a more broader field, as long as your 5 hindrances are overcome, you get very strong, you get into excess. Because at that moment, the nimitta is very clear, very soft. That is talking about samatha. Nimitta, they have these different levels of nimitta corresponding to the different levels of concentration. The first is ugaha, where you can grasp the object. The visualization is the same exactly as what you see with your eyes open. Then after that has a lot of force. Finally, it becomes the Patibhaga. Patibhaga is the mirror image. Call it a counter image. But the image is very purified because of the purified mind, and the object is perfect. That means if it is a circle, it is a perfect circle. All the diameters are equal. But if they are not totally perfect, that is a bit, what you call, elliptical, That is not perfect, no. It must be perfect. And it's completely clear and bright and so on. That is the point where the object comes close to the absorption. It will become, the purest form become the object, the nimitta, where the absorption occurs. And that time, but the mind is very calm, very pure, and that level of concentration, you can call it upachara samadhi, in terms of excess concentration. But no, sometimes you don't need to go to that amount of clarity. Before that, there are a lot of opportunity for you to observe your vipassana object free from the hindrances. So you talk of meaning of words. I prefer the meaning of function. Because I'm a Chinaman. A Chinaman is a pragmatic man. You don't give me all the crap. You give me the medicine, I eat it, I get well, good enough. Even though it's not passed by the what United States Health, what I don't know what you call it, FDA. I eat it, I get well, give it to me, I take it. No, it's the Chinaman. Not very safe, I'm sorry, but it works. So, so that's not my attitude, because from the moment I practice meditation, that's my attitude. So I practice and it works well, I do it. And it keeps working well, so it's pretty good. So that's why when I first started meditation, we don't have all these scholars around. So we just try. Call it try and error. So far, fortunately, I met with the right teachers, and all it works. And so, from what I prefer is, as long as your five hindrances are clear and your mind is very clear enough to observe deeply, the deeper the better, the clarity, clearer the better, the nature of the object. Yeah, that is the purpose anyway. One of the main purpose of concentration is to inhibit the hindrances, and so that the mind is able to observe, to do the work of vipassana well until the level of insights arise. And of course, you go to higher insights, you need stronger clarity, no doubt about that. But let's take it step by step. You're going to say paso per paso, one step at a time. Now the next level in terms of depth of concentration is apana. Apana means fixed, that means the actual fixed absorption arises, jhana. The word jhana, don't be mistaken. The jhana just means concentration. It depends on how you use the word. When you say Prathama jhana, Dutiya jhana, Tatiya jhana, Rupa jhana, Arupa jhana, and those refers to specific levels of concentration, of fixed absorption. You can also use Upachara jhana, which means that it is excess concentration or excess absorption, excess to absorption, if you like it, depends on what you say. For me, it doesn't matter so much. So it works. Sorry, I'm talking to a practical Chinaman. So, but when you talk about this apana, there is something very clear about it. If it's not clear enough, you study the Abhidhamma, then it is what you call, cannot be unarguable. Because the excess concentration goes through what you call the apana vitti. Vitti is a thought process, Appanavritti is a thought process where you enter into the jhanic state, which could be first, second, third, fourth, rupa, arupa, and all that. That's where the fusion and unification of the object take place to the extent that when you're in it, there's no subject-object differentiation. It is completely fused. Now that you can see in the Vitti, the process, that once it enters into the process, the jhani citas, the absorption consciousness, the first, second, third, fourth, go continuously, thousands and millions of times. Because one moment is very short, and what you call impulsion phase, the jhana phase can go very long, go for days. It's so powerful that it can spend it for days with the same absorption. So it goes on like that, no doubt about it. So when you look at the nature of that, it means the apana, fixed concentration, first, second, third, fourth, depending on the jhanic factors, depending on the object, the experience is different. When you go into that, then you can say that it is the first jhana, second jhana, pratama, dutiya, tatiya, and so on, or the rupa and arupa jhana. It refers to that consciousness that can be extended for thousands and millions, many thousands of times, for days. Particularly, scriptures divide to the period of at least a week. Yeah. Some people claim even more. It's probably they come out and go in. But at one stretch, 7 days. So, this we call apana, fixed concentration. This according to my interpretation. So, now, excess concentration does not go through that type of thought process. Excess concentration still comes under the kamavachara chitta, which means that the sense sphere consciousness. That means it lasts only for 7 odd moments in the jhana phase. I can go 7 many times. So it is different because it is weaker. It cannot extend itself for so many days. But do not be misled. It can also be very deep in concentration because you can stay in there and nobody, your mother, father call you, your husband, wife call you, you still won't know. And you can go on for a long time. Depending on the determination of the person, it can go on for days. You can go one day in that excess concentration. So that's why the duration of concentration is not the same as the depth of concentration. Okay. So, but then there's another type of concentration that's usually spoken of. This is the kanika samadhi. Kanika means momentary, moment by moment. This type of concentration is particular to vipassana. The power can be equivalent, metaphysically equivalent to the excess concentration, whereby the hindrances are put all aside, and so we can penetrate the object. Now, what's the difference between this? This is because of the vipassana object. The vipassana object arises and passes away moment to moment. It changes at first, and then after that, in the real vipassana, moment to moment changes. And because of that, the consciousness is like stick to it, glued to it, not in the sense of unification as in the samatha jhana. Sticks close to it. So, because object arise and disappear, the consciousness arise and disappear with it. I read a book, I don't know where it is, could be Mahasi himself. I know there is this, under Burmese monk they describe it. One way he describes it is the samatha concentration is like a long line of thread. The vipassana concentration is like many short threads joined together. Something gives you the idea that something like that. Another better example, I read somewhere so I can forget, is that momentary concentration is like a sewing machine. When you penetrate the object, it's like a sewing machine. You know what the sewing machine is? Yeah? Yeah. Nowadays, they're all mechanized. Last time I used to see my mother sewing. She's a very good seamstress. She sews very well. So last time they don't have this electricity. They use the legs, the feet, the pedal. She used the pedal and the needle go. So the needle go in, go. It's just like that. So he shows a continuous thread along the line. So concentration in this momentary vipassana is something like that. So it seems to be fixed for a very short time. Then comes the so it is why we call it momentary concentration. Not that it is weak, but because of the momentariness of the object. And this, I find, is of great significance because it's what anicca is about. The reason we do vipassana and the vipassana's object is because the three characteristics such as anicca manifest itself clearly. And so when the mind concentration is so deeply with the object, it also arises and passes away with the object. For example, one of the earliest insights that you see is a nama rupa parijedanyana. We'll come to that later. First insight knowledge. And because the mind and the object comes together. So when the object changes, the mind changes together with it in pairs. You see the object changing, the mind changing. You can say there is a difference between the character of mind and body. But more important, I think, is you see them arising, passing in pairs. That would demonstrate clearly you see the non-self impermanence of both the mind and matter. Clear discrimination of mind and matter. Okay, and so in this way, that's why the momentary concentration is significant in terms of the development of insight. So in the beginning, you do see it somewhat, although you may not see it so closely moment to moment. But when you see the changes closer and closer to the moment changes, and then you see the difference. When the mind really can see over a period of time, complete cutting, flashing with the object that arises and passes away, very clearly, very deeply. then establishment of the perception of non-self impermanence is very clear. You know, this basic insight knowledge has to be very clear. You know, if it is not clear enough, it cannot serve as a foundation with the higher knowledges. When you practice, what do you aim for? Aim for the highest goal, right? And so your basic step by step must be very clear. So it's like a pyramid. So that's where I come back to it talk. Kanika samadhi, momentary concentration. There's one thing I would just like to mention, because people bring it up. They're dissatisfied with what we say. This is the case of vipassana jhanas. You know, there's always people argue, is there such things as vipassana jhanas? I said, of course, there's vipassana jhanas. And why not? Where in the text do you hear the vipassana? And then you're getting become scholastic. I'm not a scholar, sorry. But at least I know that in the realization of the path and fruition consciousness, it is apana. For example, a person attains the stream winner and he goes into the attainment of the fruition consciousness. Pala samapati. It's all apana, and that's vipassana. Okay, say vipassana is no, panajana. But they may refer to those parts before that. And in that part, to be technically correct, you know, Mahasi has mentioned it in his discourse. I think Usilananda has also mentioned it, that it is very close, it's like the jhanas, but categorizing it more definitely is the excess concentration. So there's no argument about it. Again, it goes back to the use of the word jhana. The apana fix or is it excess? Jhana generally just means strong concentration. Mahasi, you see in his book, also claims that what is jhana? Jhana means very strong concentration. So all these arguments, I think, is meant for scholars and people who uphold the Dhamma. You know, they feel that they have a responsibility. Is very good and fine. Simple terms like me, I don't know about you, who only wants progress, and as long as it works, is okay. You just practice this. Whether it is or not, you will find out. So this is, in short, what we call the depth of concentration and the type of concentration. Now, so what I feel is more for a general knowledge. You need to know something, ask you, no? And once I remember I went to Texas to teach. This American came and learned with me, you know, his first retreat. You know. He went back, people asked him, what do you experience when you learn meditation? He says, pain. It's true, but that's not very encouraging. I believe he is still practicing. Now, so what becomes more important now, the concept is how to get that concentration. How? There's people who want to know why. They're the why people. You must know why before you practice. The more pragmatic people You don't ask so much about why. Ask how. These are the how people. Uh, For me, it's both. Ask why and ask how. If I can't get a clear answer of why, I continue with the how. They will tell you, and you trust your luck. So how? There are many ways. These are ways you can find it in the suttas itself. Now we are going through the Dhamma talks about vipassana in a more general manner. The basic, what to do next of what to do, what to watch out of that. Not. After I've gone through all this, then you should have the basic technique to go on, at least by yourself, for some time. If questions, you can ask your teachers. You can come here and ask the Sayadaw and all those things. But after that, when you get the ground more clear and deeper established, then you go into the actual study of the suttas, the suttanta, the second phase, where you go to the actual word of the Buddha and you can see the profundity of the Dhamma in the suttas. And after that, you want to go further, then you go to the Abhidhamma, so on. Now, what causes is how? And what happens? First, I'll tell you a more general way. So, as usual, what I did was, sometimes in the real days, sometimes I get into concentration, I come. Sometimes I go in, have a struggle. Sometimes I can't. But if I can, ask why and how. How on earth did I get it? No. And why? What did I do? So in that way, I get the answers. When I get the answers, the next time I try it and I have the conditions, I get it. There's one way, you go in many times, you don't just keep going in. You keep going in, your mind knows more often. Your mind knows the neck of it, but your rationality does not. You don't know because you don't know why. No, your mind knows how, but you don't know why. Never mind, as long as the mind goes in, it's okay. Not so good. You know why? Then of course it's better. Because the mind knows better than you, knows many things. So I came up with some answers. And fortunately, it is in accordance with the text. Fortunately for me, fortunately for you. Well, first thing first. It's just talking about experience. Of course, in the beginning, before you start, you know about all those theory and so on. It's much better. You have a foundation of theory. We call pariyatti. It's always much better. You won't get lost too far away. If you go wrong, you're not too far from right. Then some very basic factors. One is as the Sayadaw mentioned it for the first day, suitabilities. Suitable food, suitable building suitable temperature and so on. Talk of 7 suitabilities, sapaya. These are external conditions, supportive external conditions. Now we are talking now more about internal, regarding the personal. First is physical matters. What are the physical conditions that affect you, affect your mind? Body conditions the mind. Most important is the health. Health and physical strength. That's the body. But closer to the moment of practice would be relaxation. When you relax and you're not tense, then there's less stress on the body. Or we call it a proximate cause of concentration is sukha, happiness. So I say, when the mind is happy, the mind will meditate. It does not need too much coaxing. Yeah? And so that's why when I guide your meditation, the first thing I tell you, relax, relax, relax. Yeah? Of course, you're sleepy, you probably fall asleep to sleep now. But nowadays, in most cases, because of the extra stimulation, people are more restless. They're sleepy. The problem is not so much sleepy, of course, the first few days, early in the morning, after lunch, and so on. But after a few days of practicing, what is the problem becomes the restlessness will last. The mind still runs away. That's why the obsessive thinkers, they get the worst of it. To relax physically. That's why when you pain, you cannot relax. So difficult. You can relax really and you have pain, you can concentrate. It's true, no? Person who is very mindful, physically relaxed, first the pain is there, although not so intolerable. Even if it's strong, it's really relaxed and mindful. You can still watch the pain. But because the anger is there, So to relax is not just physical, it is also mental. Stress-free mind, mental. It comes with the most basic mindfulness. You see, how do you start to meditate? See, close your eyes, watch your rising falling, is there? You look at the Anapanasati Sutta, or the Satipatthana Sutta, or the Pirimananda Sutta on meditation. It says, cross-legged, Isidati Palankang, Sating Apujitawa. It means the mindfulness established in front of you. Why? With the mindfulness, the clear, steady mind is there. When you say mind, clear, steady mind, that means it's mindful, it's peaceful, it's clear, and when you're peaceful, that means it's relaxed, not under stress, nothing disturbing. So then you start following. When the long rise, I know. When I know this long rise, when the short rise, I know the short rise. According to Anapana or the Satipatthana. So that's where the established on the seed. The seed is the one pointed, clear mindfulness that you start off. In the moment you say, I must try concentration, I must do concentration, you are starting with the wrong foot because your mind is already stressed. I must have the jhana, and then of course you're having craving. So it's the wrong foot. So the mindfulness and the purity mind, you start first. After that, you continue. They say first you must be mindful, then you follow the object. Now the second condition is you must be able to develop a continuous flow of wholesome consciousness. Yeah? You're mindful now and mindful now, mindful now, mindful now. And then the power doesn't build up. It is discontinuous. As you watch rising, falling, your mindfulness is continuous, then you can follow the rising, falling continuous. Right? And then your right concentration will build up. But your mindfulness is not continuous, but your attention is continuous. Different. At first you're mindful, after you still follow, you still know the object, but no mindfulness, you're just forcing. It's there, hold on, don't let go. So somewhere in between, or probably longer period of time, you're holding to the object without mindfulness. Then you get concentration, but wrong concentration. So it must be continuity of mindfulness. Then it makes a difference. With the continuity of mindfulness, the mindfulness becomes strong. All the wholesome states of mind become strong, becomes flexible, it becomes malleable, it becomes controllable, and so on. Even the object changes, it doesn't matter. In Vipassana, the object changes anyway, moment to moment. Vipassana, what's important is the continuity of mindfulness and continuity of the, if you can, the Vipassana object, which is a Paramattha Dhamma, ultimately. Paramattha Dhamma, rising and falling, Paramattha Dhamma, pain, Paramattha Dhamma, touching, Paramattha Dhamma, they're all Paramattha Dhammas. The sets of Paramattha Dhamma. Of course, you follow one set like the rising, falling. Of course, the right concentration will build up faster. It speeds up the process. So the continuity of the pure state of mind is important. The same when you talk of samatha. Samatha, let's say you do metta. What is the important state of mind in metta bhavana? It is metta. Because that's what you're trying to build up and that's what you concentrate. Right? Because you want to do rice porridge, you must have raw rice. Then you concentrate on rice. So in the same way, when you love mindfulness, metta, then you can concentrate on metta. No? In the beginning, people try to concentrate, but the metta is not strong. Still can be done, but not so good. Like one of my friends, we were doing together at Mahasi Center, metta, loving kindness under Sadhu Pandita. Doing metta, he says, we are cellmates, not like roommates, because we talk about meditation. He says, I told him, meditation going well. Usually his concentration is better than me. No, not so soon. I'm doing metta to a friend. After that, no more metta. I was still thinking of my friend. So I don't know what bhavana I'm doing. I'm not doing metta bhavana. I'm doing pugala bhavana. I'm using the person as a concentration object without metta. So there's a kind of joke, but I mean it's true. So you must know what you're developing in the first place. And so when you metta, you must have continuous flow metta. Sometimes in the beginning when you practice metta, I'm talking about metta because you're doing metta in the evening. So in do metta, sometimes you give to this person, you choose somebody else, your father, your brother, your friend, your teacher, you give. You know, it doesn't work that way all the time. You do it to a friend, and maybe happy suddenly somebody else comes in the picture. One lady was doing it to a friend, and suddenly the father came in. She doesn't have good relationships with her father. She got angry with her father. Why are you here? You shouldn't be here. I mean, the mind is like that, you know, it's not so controllable. So if the father comes, give him metta anyway. It's more difficult. Huh? So you use the more to maintain the continuity, use the more easier person. So when the continuity of metta is strong, there's more mindfulness, and then you can control the object better. So you go to first the terrible people don't come, the more nicer people keep coming. You single out. You know? And some people have a dilemma. Go to this friend, and another good friend comes in. And then when you do that friend, I think I should give it to this friend. Then split. And it's a things unfunny. That's different. Split. So you have to decide for deeper concentration. Okay, you decide. You wait first. You first. Next on the line. So you choose one. And because of the habitual tendency, the constant object arising automatically afterward keeps effortlessly it will arise. So the concentration is without, because one continuity of the wholesome state, which is metta, and it is centered onto the person as the object, that particular person as object. Vipassana, you have a similar situation, not exactly the same. You keep following your Vipassana object, rising, falling, for example, sitting, touching, for example, pain, for example. Usually you try to limit to a process, like the rising, falling process, or the pain process. Then the concentration builds up. But the main Vipassana object is not the rising, falling. It is the Paramattha Dhamma. And the Paramattha Dhamma actually refers more eventually to the three universal characteristics. So the three universal characteristics, you zero in on the three universal characteristics. The three universal characteristics become very strong only when the insight knowledges actually arise. Before that, you are also doing something like that. Not exactly, but you're getting there. Like you keep watching the changing object, you keep watching the rising, falling, changing. Yes, the Paramattha Dhamma is there, but there's still some little concepts sticking to it. This cannot be helped. It doesn't matter. You do it properly, sooner or later you get to that. So there's once I remember Sada was telling us about this concentration. There are two types of jhanas. One is the Aramana Upanisaya jhana. The other one is Tilakkhana Upanisaya jhana. That was what he said. I'm only repeating it. So, Aramana means the object. Upanisaya means strong dependence. Strong dependence. This is one of the 24 pachaya, 24 conditioning, types of conditioning, strong dependence, jhana, concentration. That means the deep concentration is depending on the object. So the samatha jhana is strongly dependent on the object that, for example, you visualize. Whereas in vipassana, the strong dependence is on the tilakkhana, the three universal characteristics. Some people may say, the concentration cannot become strong with the three characteristics. How can you become strong when the thing keeps coming and going, coming and going? How strong can it get? And this is their argument. But when you experience it, it's different. Because the tilakkhana actually refers to reality. The mind is totally involved in the perception of transcendence. Three characteristics like impermanence refer to as a positive definition, transcendence. Okay, cutting through delusion. So is the mind totally involved, mindfulness is totally involved with cutting through illusion in the initial phase, sankharas, formations. And then it is one-pointed. That's why momentary concentration can be considered upachara, which can be very strong. So that's why, but even the technical matters, please don't ask me. Anyway, before you can ask me, I run away. So there's something more about the concentration. So what happens? You have continuous mindfulness. Okay, let's say within the develop continuous mindfulness, develop metta, and then the concentration will develop in certain ways. The development object will develop likewise in certain ways, even in samatha. When you talk development of consciousness, that means development of the experience of the consciousness, experience of the thought process. We're not talking about moment-to-moment thought process, all those chitta and all those things, the momentum. Talking about general experience, what you're experiencing. And so I was surprised to find that this has been very well expounded, although I read it before, I didn't realize it. It's so clear. These are the jhanangas, the factors of concentration, factors of absorption. I'm sure you heard about it. Vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekakata. Vitaka, initial application. Vichara, sustained application. Piti, joy. Sukha, happiness. Ekakata, one-pointedness. Okay? I'm sure you read it everywhere, if you have read it before. Now, what does this mean? You don't really know its meaning, really, unless you experience it directly with your mindfulness. This state of mind is vitaka. Generally, we read and understand, we have some good idea, but not sufficient, I feel. No, because when you practice concentration, especially go to samatha, when you go through defining the jhanas, that means you have to do certain things. I won't go into this. do certain things to really able to confirm that these mental states are present. Yeah. So when you do these things, then you actually have to look into the mental states which are actually present or not. This is not just according to books, according to experience. Then I noticed one thing. At every level, as your concentration deepens, a different part of these factors come into dominance and play. Yeah. The first part, vitaka vichara, is strong. It's more active. Yeah. Like we said, vitaka, which is to bring the mind, letting to stay in the object. But when you're very deeper inside, you don't feel your mind keep going in. The energy to maintain it there is still there. You can see when you know what it really means by experience. And so you find that it becomes a way whereby you know the nature of this type of mental states. You can control it because you know why. And so when you know why, you know how. And you can lead it slowly to the deeper state till the point where one partner's ekagata is the main function and one dominant role. Because the absorption and fixation is played by ekagata, one partner's, at the tip of the nail. So this is so one way you can describe the development of concentration is by these 5 factors. Actually, there's a 6th factor. I don't know why they missed out. Upeka. Equanimity is one of the factors. Upeka, sahagata, panchama, jhana, chitta, equanimity. So, first is the mind is a bit more, sometimes they think the mind is more active. When you're still not jhana, yes, it still to be a bit more discursive. Then more the joy becomes more apparent. And then you kind of sukha. Sukha is a very subtle type of peaceful feeling. It's a peaceful, blissful in terms of peace. And finally, is the locking, fixation, things like that. So you can see very clearly the development of the consciousness. And at the same time, you follow also the development of the object. So there are other ways in which we call. I'll stop telling you, no, I haven't finished this part. Sketch. So you see the development of the object. Go on with this first. History of time. A little bit of time. So we give the example of our meditation object. First, the rising falling. At the beginning, you try to follow the rising falling. It's running all over the place. Except the rising falling. When people play tennis, they want to hit the ball that way. Goes anywhere except that part. Because the mind is not controlled. So finally, you're able to follow the object. So vitaka is to keep bringing your mind to the rising falling. Vichara is, after a while, there's what called a flow. That means you can flow with the object. That means you can follow the rising falling, the process called rising falling. It's a process of sensation. To follow the process. And the first is arousing. the mindfulness and directing it to the object. The second is the process whereby it go as a continuous flow. We say, go with the flow. And there, when the flow arises, automatically there's a momentum built up. This momentum is wave-like, like a wave. No? This wave-like gives rise to something like a feeling. And because the mindfulness and clarity and so all wholesome states are there, so the wave are waves of clarity. And when you say wave, it's closer to Vedana. Call it joy, joy of feeling. But here you don't strictly speak of it as the feeling. You speak of it as a mental state of piti. And this is another thing. So is piti same as sukha? No, they're different. But most cases people experience in life, especially in the sensual realm, kama vachara, they come together. They are in a way inseparable. So that's why when you say joy, they refer to the happy feeling. It's not happy feeling, it's a mental state. It's something like a rhythmic flow, a jump, a movement of the mind. For example, like in your mind goes in a constant rhythm. That's what music is about. Yeah? That's why different beats, different medium, and they have their, they call the music according to the genre. So, for example, you take in a very primitive society. What they do, they dance. So they have a drum or they have a bamboo stick, Oops. Then bomb. Then they hop. Then they bomb another time they hop. So they do it as a certain dum 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 dum. And when people get in the rhythm, they become fixed to it and they're happy about it. Joy arises. Joy is something like that in a state of mind, not the feeling itself. Now, when you come to feeling, then the sukha is a feeling. And the sukha, when the sukha is very peaceful, it doesn't want to go anywhere. And so it gets fixed. So from there, you see that the mental states develops naturally in that direction with the concentration. So similarly, when you watch the rising falling, you can watch the rising falling, okay, very good. You follow it nicely, after joy rises. You don't have to make so much effort anymore. It just comes on its own. Following the rising, falling, become a piece of cake. So it flows. You go with the flow. But you have to be careful. Because when you go with the flow so nice and attachment may come, mental power increases. And so what happens? Because of your enjoyment and your craving attachment and the power being stepped up, what happens is it becomes strong. It becomes overwhelming. And it becomes uncontrollable. And it becomes the mess. And for example, if people meditate, they may be quite attached to joy. And when they're attached to joy, the joy becomes overwhelming and so on. What happens? The mindfulness is being aged out, being thrown out of balance. And so they start shaking. Rising, falling, the body. And then you become so strong, you can really rock, Normally you cannot rock so fast, but that's the you really rock. So one person was doing like that, so I have to wake him up. So I wake him up, look at me. You know what he said? It was so joyful. He has attached to it without knowing. So it has to be controlled with mindfulness and to make sure it's right concentration and to be refined. Because the deeper states of mind are definitely more refined by any sensual states or types of consciousness. So they refine it. So that happy states become very refined, very peaceful until you can even call it equanimity. But it still has a tinge of sukha in it, we call it sukha. It's not completely upeka. It's completely, it goes into complete upeka only in the fifth jhana. You know? So at times it may be upeka, but it's not jhana. So anyway, until the point that you can see the fixation, the fusion, the locking, then you see the clearly the ekagata. What ekagata means, one pointedness. So from there, you can see how rising falling works. In the case of rising falling, it doesn't go into the actual apana. It goes very close to it. And if you go close enough and you're doing the vipassana anyway, you will bring vipassana concentration. And you're watching the moment-to-moment arising and passing of Paramatma. That's why when you watch rising, falling, you can follow it closely. And the teacher must tell you, you cannot watch the whole thing as one whole piece. They try to break it up for you. See it in many phases. The more, the better. That's why first you see rising, falling. Not that you purposely make it, but you see as a process in smaller phases. And when you follow the lifting, pushing, stepping, you're mindful, you keep bringing it to it. And after that, you're able to maintain the mindfulness flowing with the footsteps. Okay. And when you watch closely and you just follow the parts of the step, no, you're getting the conceptually. When you're watching to the actual paramatta, the sensations that make up the process. And so in that way, you watch the sensations as they change, moment to moment. But in the beginning, to encourage you to do that, you watch it lifting, pushing, stepping. You try to break it into smaller parts. That's to encourage you to see the flow. But what is more important, you actually see the flow of this momentary rising and passing away of sensations. That is the main object. So you bring it closer and closer. Also, it means that the concentration deepens. When you watch things very close, the concentration deepens. But in this case, the development object is from the conventional reality to the ultimate realities, and through the deepening of the ultimate realities as perceived. And so there's, for example, the same occurs to the sitting touching. Sitting touching is basically the mass of bodily sensations, internally and externally. The mass of bodily sensations. So generally, at first you see one whole mass. When you see one whole mass, the mind gets concentrated. The mind is continuously watching the sensations all over the body. Now here there's one danger. When you're watching and you're very concentrated, you seem to be following a point. Should you follow the whole mass of sensations or should you follow one point? Which one? Both are possible. also possible. But there's a snag there. You see, when you follow a point and it moves, you tend to follow it. But you're not to the moment you follow the point as if you are drawing a line. You know, you see this point, sometimes you see the itch runs here to the nose and to the ears, and you tend to draw a line. Now the line is a concept, it's not a moment. Right? You must get to the moment, closer and closer to the moment where the sensation arises the moment it passes. Then you're getting it right. So even in the cloud method, finally you have to zero in on one point. Yeah? And that one point is the Paramattha Dhamma, which we call things as they really are. Yatha Buddha. Jnana Dasana. You see inside things as they really are. When is that point? The point is the moment of contact. Yeah. And this is often misunderstood. People misunderstand and they follow the line and the patterns and the shapes and all those designs, no? And then they get stuck. Some people get into mental problems. Normally, no, but sometimes people do. You know, people who have been stuck for years because they're following like that. So I try to reprimand the person. I say, then you know what they ask, tell me. I thought I was supposed to watch that. And so they continue to watching that. So what do I do? In Malaysia, I can do this. Not in the US or in Europe. I have to use more skillful means. You know, I started raising my voice. You think you're so smart. This is very good. But sometimes they won't listen. They just one track mind. And so you wake them up. Fortunately for this lady, she finally realized that she woke up. Sometimes the moment they realize they go into the correct way, the progress is instant. Because they have the mental powers, but the direction is wrong. So that's why, for example, the sitting touching, in the cloud method, finally you go to that one point of Paramattha Dhamma, nature of phenomena. Here's one example. That is the example of the painful sensation. This you're talking about feelings. Now Vedana Nupassana. I think it's about time we stop here. We try to continue tomorrow. And then from there we can start going into insight. There's another part which the commentary to the Satipatthana, whereby it talks about the conditions for the development of this Samadhi Sambhojanga. It means the concentration enlightenment. We won't go into it. We just mention certain things not mentioned before in our talks. Okay, we stop here. Any questions? All understood? Yeah? Understand everything? Yeah? Well, we start with theory. These things I speak, I'm sure you have experienced it to some extent. When you really think about it, then you remember, then you can put it in the right spot. Okay, we come back at 15 to 20 minutes time for the metta.